deal. Now the Clippers and the Knicks are equally dangerous to sign the Warriors star. I was told that Brooklyn's in it, but I keep hearing that he's locked in on this team and locked in on that team. So let's line up the places where I'm told he really likes. And you tell me, would you have a little indecision? Let's talk about the New York Knicks. Remember, 100%. The owner's bad with the Knicks. The roster's weak. The recent history is awful. And oh, by the way, he could make more money in Golden State than the Knicks. Well, let's talk about the Clippers. Roster, mostly guys, role players. History? Do I have to explain the history of the Clippers? Brand, second biggest team in their own arena. What about Jerry West? Okay, what about him? He's 81 next week. They're not rolling together. Okay, let's size up the Brooklyn Nets. Once again, they're a little brother, second biggest brand in their own city. They have an owner from overseas, and the Nets are about his 8th biggest business. And if he does attract KD, it'll be his 3rd reboot in about 6 years. They have 3 winning seasons in 12. And oh, by the way, if they were going to land Anthony Davis, am I wrong here? They'd basically have to trade the entire roster. And by the way, the team, I'm assured that he's leaving. The Golden State Warriors, let me remind you of the last several years and the images. Parades, MVP trophies, and rings. And that's the one you're assuring me has no chance to keep him. There's a reason this is the 6th different report on Kevin Durant's destination. Kevin Durant has not made up his mind. Warren Buffett's a legendary investor, and he always talks about every generation is going to have a better life than the previous generation, better health care, better travel. I was somebody that grew up, I struggled early, but I never enjoyed the struggle. My struggle was real, and then I started getting what I would call professional mobility. I moved around the country, and the upside to it is that you can join really cool companies, companies with momentum, companies that have already gone through the initial struggle of growth, and it's a great life. I've joined companies that are established, companies that are good. That is the upside to upward mobility. That's the upside to professional mobility. Like at Fox, I came here. I didn't have to deal with the Simpson years when they were just starting, mid-early 90s when they just got the NFL, and Best Damn Sports Show, and they were young, and they were experimenting, and they weren't the company they are today. And I joined the company, and it's formed, and it's profitable, and it's got good management, and it's stable, and it's like, yeah, it's been great. But the downside to that is you always kind of feel like you're a little bit of an outsider. You don't get the inside company joke. It's like they have a private handshake at some of these companies, and I'm not involved. The downside to professional mobility is you don't go to the 4th of July, party in your neighborhood like everybody else has for 68 straight years. You're in another part of the country. And I will admit, part of me is jealous about that. Yeah, I don't get that moving around the country. So Kevin Durant is a classic example of mobility. Now, the upside to his mobility, he joined a really good team. They'd already gone through the Monte Ellis Steph trade. They had the coach in Steve Kerr. They had the young players. So he didn't have to go through the early struggle of Golden State. Not like they were terrible, but there were struggles. They moved through a coach. They moved through some players, and there's a lot of controversy trading Monte Ellis. And Kevin he didn't have to deal with that. The struggle wasn't real. He just caught on the surfboard when they were already riding that wave. And this weekend, he was at a press conference, and they were talking about the team, and he said this.
How have you thought about their play?
Our play?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I think we've been playing great.
Do you feel like there is that almost split where it's like you and them?
Most definitely. I mean, it's been that way since I got here. It's the Warriors and KD, you know what I'm saying? And I understand that. And I felt like my teammates and the organization know exactly what I've done. But I also know that a lot of people on the outside, don't like to see us together. And, I get it.
Kawhi is embraced as the new guy because he's giving Canada something they've never had, and he was traded there. Whereas Kevin Durant, Golden State won before him, after him, and he's seen as more of a mercenary. And neither one of these is necessarily right. Yes, it's great that Derek Jeter and Kobe stayed with the same team. Yeah, it's easy when you're the Lakers in the 90s and beyond and you're the New York Yankees. But if Derek Jeter started in Kansas City or Pittsburgh, they probably wouldn't have been able to afford him, and Derek Jeter would have moved to the Yankees or the Red Sox. I'm not saying upward mobility is better. I'm saying there are two ways to do this in life and in sports and in your professional career. Stay with the same company forever and go through the struggles and the roller coaster. And it is perhaps more pure. And you will have these bonds and these lifetime relationships that are just a mile deep and worthwhile. And they resonate your entire life. You stay in your hometown. Those high school reunions are real. And then there's the people that bounce around the country. And they don't have to go through a lot of those struggles. But they're not quite as deeply embedded in the community, in the company, and they don't get invited to the same Memorial Day barbecue or 4th of July barbecue that family does. I'm not saying either is right. There are great, substantial, psychological, emotional benefits to both. But what Kevin Durant is experiencing is actually, and I know he's a superstar, but it's something many of you watching and listening today have experienced, and it's real. Here's Joy Taylor, NBA expert, with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This